Assalamu alaikum viewers, this is Qasim Zanzibar and I am talking from ZABFM and we are on HR Pavilion, subject by Miss Hareem Siddiqui of Club BBA 6A. So Pakistan ranked 153rd out of 156 countries in World Economic Forum related to gender equality. And not only this, Pakistan's gender pay gap is around 34%, which is one of the highest in the world. So with these facts, we are on Gender Diversity podcast, and we have an esteemed guest, Mr. Noman Javed, with us, who is going to talk about promoting how to promote gender diversity and inclusion in the workplace.
Thank you very much, Qasim.
Okay, so starting off, Mr. Noman, how can you define gender diversity in one line, and what does it mean to you?
Okay, so thank you very much for inviting. Before I answer your question, I'm happy to share my pleasure about you guys being open to discuss DNR. This is not a topic that you will hear from students specifically or especially, but your teacher, Ms. Hareem, who recommended me to connect with you. I think that's a great opportunity for me as well to talk about this topic, and I'm very happy about it. How do I define diversity, inclusion, or gender equity, or terminologies like that? Basically, in my view, so there are formal definitions that you can find on internet, but my definition is equal opportunities provided to people from various sects of life, whether they are gender, whether they are geographically separated, whether academically separated, or whatever, or even thought process as well. So providing equal opportunities to all those people is what we are talking about here.
Okay. So, as we all know that we all hear from media that there is tremendous inequality and discrimination, particularly in regard to gender. So, what do you think? What are the challenges you face in workplace and how to overcome them?
So there are a lot of issues. We can continue going on and on with this podcast discussing the issues, but mainly a perception that we need to handle. So I'm taking an impression from your question that we are more focusing on gender at the moment.
Yeah.
Of course, we can cover others as well. But when it comes to gender diversity, the perception is the biggest problem. What is the perception about a female working in our company? Lack of commitment, not able to continue the career after changes in the family, leaving probably 5 o'clock because van is waiting outside. That's the perception. So perception is the biggest problem, and I can tell you from my experiences, and I have experience of working in some good organization. They are one of the hardworking
the top team,
professionals in the organization, because they know that they have a time bound activity. They have to come at 9 o'clock. They will have to leave by the time their van comes. They don't have an option to stay back. Exceptional days are there because they have to go back home and then manage the housekeeping stuff as well. So they will give their heart into their work. I'm not sort of undermining the efforts by the male colleagues, but they are definitely standing out. So perception is something we need to manage from male colleagues' perspective.
Okay. So perception like women perspective or the societal perspective.
Both of them. At work, see, society is one. We all are sitting here, we're part of society. When you go to a corporate or in a company, that's also people coming from the same society.
Totally.
So the thought process is same, that females probably will not be able to give as much of a time to the work as we wanted them to do, or probably as a man would do. That's the perception.
Okay.
And that perception has to change, because the number of females either at a leadership role or otherwise, and they're delivering so much good value for their organization. This is something we need to change. And who will change? Maybe your next question. The leadership will change. Leadership will provide those opportunities to those females so that they start coming to the workplace. The main challenge is that you need to bring more females into the workplace, and only then you will know what is the commitment level. So the problem right now is the representation is so less. So you need to bring more people in your corporate sector, and then see how they are performing. That's the first challenge that leadership is facing right now.
Okay. So as you've highlighted the women being, diversity, like women is more diverse. So we all know that women experience gender diversity more than men. So why do women face these challenges? I mean, and why are women not given the growth opportunities that their men are given?
Okay, a fear that will this lady or a female or a colleague be here for a long duration? Will she get married in couple of years and will leave? If she's already married, she will have an extension in the family.
Yeah.
Once or whenever it happens, will she be able to continue working? If she does, will she be able to continue the same commitment? Yeah. And if the commitment is there, then how long? So the series of questions are unlimited. If you keep answering the question positively, the new question will keep coming up. That's the challenge females are facing. Then there are a problem of security in the country as well. There are remote areas. So, for example, Karachi is an industrial zone,
Yeah.
and all the manufacturing hubs are located in the remote places of the city, which means that they have to travel a lot outside the city center to for their employment. So they only have to be there for a certain time. They cannot work overtime. They cannot work in the night shifts. So these are the kind of issues which are also pragmatic. So in defense of those who show reservations, we also need to take care of this. But then leadership comes back to the center, which is what resources are they providing to those females who are facing those challenges. Yeah. So again, it will come down to leadership all the time, whether to create the flexibility in the organization,
True.
whether to talk about gender diversity more and more, or where there are realistic issues facing, how can they help overcoming those issues? So it's a leadership role to provide all these solutions.
Okay. So by leadership, you mean the employees, right?
Uh, the management team,
The
the CEO,
entire management.
the head of
Okay.
HR, the head of marketing,
Okay.
head of finance, they all are the leadership of the organization.
Okay. Okay. So I had this one question that in a employee's life in a company, like from the hiring till his retirement or firing or whatever. So how do the employer manage the DIEs, like that is diversity, inclusion, and equality? And in all of this process, how can the employer be non-biased in this entire process?
Uh, Remember one thing: wherever there is a human interaction,
Yeah.
bias will be there. Yeah, you will have bias. A teacher will have bias towards students. I'm not using the bias negatively. I'm using the bias positively as well.
Okay.
So bias will always be there. So, for example, you like some of your team members more, and you don't like some of the team members. Why? The reason would define. Because someone performs better, I like this person. Someone doesn't perform better, I like this person. Maybe this person is like me, I like this person. Before this person is not like me, I don't. So negative and positive, both things can take place at the same place. When you say why there's a bias, again for the same perception reason, I will take you back to this point over and over again. There's a perception of the commitment that a female would provide to employer. That's the question. I'm not saying it's a right realistic sort of reason, but yeah, that comes as a hurdle. I'm of the opposite view, which is
Okay.
to provide opportunity,
Yes.
which will come later towards the podcast. But what I'm telling you right now is there's a reality exists, which is about the commitment. How will this person come to work? We need to arrange pick and drop service. Then when this person is having a long-term leave for various reason, you have to arrange sort of a backup resource at workplace as well. All these things a manager would think, and when manager thinks, then he or she immediately decide, okay, I'll hire a male. Why should I go into all this hassle?
Okay. Yeah.
All these things will also come into manager's mind.
Sure, yeah. Okay. So when we talk about gender, so is it only limited to men and women? Because there are like around 10,000 tens of thousands of more transgender population, and transgender population faces the most amount of discrimination in our society because it's kind of a taboo that transgender you cannot be a transgender. Either it be Islamic or anything, but they are human beings, right? So are companies working towards to include transgender in their workplace or not?
I'll be very honest with you.
Yeah.
We're not even over discussing women at work. Transgender is a very, very next
True,
and
exactly.
remote possibility.
Yeah.
So I'm very honest with you. lot of us, when I say us means a corporate world, are struggling to convince ourselves or our managers or our people on why should we have females at workplace. And you're throwing even a bigger challenge to me about transgenders. So we need to resolve that part first, yeah, because they're more in number. About transgenders, I wouldn't say it's a very easy thing to say that, oh, we should have transgenders at workplace, because then a lot of homework has to be done, sensitization in the workplace, appropriate roles for them in the workplace. We all know that unfortunately they're left behind in terms of academic qualification. Yeah, they're not academically highly qualified so that they're qualified for all the roles in the organization. This is not there, which means that you cannot expose them to any and every role, and they will be only, at least in the beginning, they'll be starting from a very very junior roles, or maybe in the beginning very laborious work, maybe areas where they don't need to use their brain, maybe, or they're just sitting at one corner and doing their work, all sorts of things. Do organizations have space and cost available to manage these headcounts? Yeah. We are talking about corporates where one person is probably doing 3-4 different kind of work. But here, there's a limitation.
Yeah.
This one transgender resource would not be able to deliver to that productivity as well. However, there are companies who are thinking it as a social responsibility. Big companies, Unilever, I know.
Okay.
There could be others as well. They are thinking of sort of injecting transgenders into workplace.
Really?
But I would say the quantum is embarrassingly low. Yeah.
Because because we societally don't accept transgenders as human beings, and that's like, I'm not saying my perspective, but it's basic right for them to at least have respect, at least respect them, but we cannot even give them. So that's what I'm talking about, that why couldn't we do that?
Although we
was the hurdle in between?
I tell you, although we have a habit of putting everything on government is not able to do this, government is not able to do that. But you see, there's a quota allocated for companies to hire people with special needs. Yeah. All companies have to employ a certain number of people who are special needs.
Yeah.
Each of us, the companies have this now. How? Because government is coming after you and will penalize you if you don't do that. Government needs to take an initiative here as well. Because one organization, let's say I take Unilever's name, how much can Unilever contribute to the overall business of this gender? You said about 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Can they hire 10,000 employees? No.
Obviously.
So when you ask companies to absorb this headcount as per their muscle, for example, if I'm a small company, I'll probably hire according to my own P&L.
Yes.
If I'm a big company, I'll hire more. Okay? This is how the things will improve. So government has to come in very, very quickly and start doing that. Number two is, or in fact, number one solution would be how academics are supporting. Can ZABIST and other places take this as a social responsibility to educate 100 transgender in 1 year, let's suppose.
Exactly, yes.
So let's say 50. And not put them through a proper BBA, MBA program, but maybe from employability perspective, personal grooming skill, very basic technical stuff,
yes,
computer-based basic applications.
Starting from the first step, the baby step.
Yeah?
That's what we
writing
could
something, reading something,
Yes.
These kind of things. So is academics taking that responsibility? ZABIST, of course, is not the only responsible place. There are other places as well. All of these have to collectively come up and say, okay, so each one of us collectively will train 1,000 transgender population every year, and now you multiply that every year. Where are we?
Yes.
That's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
So these are the two initiatives that we need to take.
Okay. Yeah. That's like that. If companies implement that, so we could be in a much better place.
And also adding to that, ask people to chip in with money. Yeah. For example, ZABIST is saying we're doing that. Ask companies to sponsor us. We're doing it for a social responsibility.
Yeah, and companies like literally would invest
Would do
because they want something to just showcase their name.
Yeah, because see, education, academic is not our business. Our business is to manufacture something and sell something. We're not expert in that. You guys are as an institution, or other institution as well. We're willing to pay you or give you money or sponsor your initiative. but you guys have infrastructure to train.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have classrooms, you guys have material, you guys have mindset to train different kind of people.
True.
So you guys can do it easily. I'm not again putting all the responsibility back to academia, but it's a collective responsibility.
True. Okay, so moving forward, so what do you think that how these steps which you just said that ensure leadership in the teams, and how could the board of directors reflect gender diversity?
Um, how can they reflect gender diversity? Answer is simple: by hiring more females and promoting more females. Yeah, that's a simple answer. How can they reflect? How they can motivate? How can they encourage the culture for diversity? Is by talking about it. You talk about diversity. There's something called walk the talk.
Yeah.
So, do you have female representation in your own teams as a leadership? Yeah. Do you have in your companies have processes in place or asking your teams to bring in more females? So, for example, I know companies who have allocated certain headcounts where you can only hire a female. If you're not able to hire a female or find a female, wait, find a female.
Oh.
Right? So this is a leadership support. I can't do it alone as someone, as a recruiter or so I have my leadership support available. The number of females you need to hire this year, that's a leadership support. We all know if you ask me to hire this number of females in a year, I may not be able to find this number of females in a year. What will happen? I will have to face a lot of pressure at work. We are not able to get things done because we don't have resources available. That's where leadership support will come in. Okay, so we'll manage internally, but we'll have to hire number of females. Let's do whatever it takes to find females. Let's start our reach or increase our reach to campuses, to other places, collaborate with executive search, social media, and find more females. If it is taking time, let it be, but we have to find. So leadership support will have to come in.
Yes, totally. So do you mean that we have to reach, the companies have to reach to external sources to hire more female? And it is like a fact that there are more females like educated and they are just, unemployed because they are not given the right opportunities. So companies should give that platform to them, right? And they just don't work because they are not given the growth opportunities, obviously. So they won't work. So the motivation factor obviously comes in then.
Of course.
Right?
True.
Okay, so moving ahead, can you just give us some suggestions that how can we improve gender diversity, inclusion in the workplace, like for the future of Pakistan, for the entire
some of the very basic things that we need to fix. How will diversity be increased in companies? By adding more females? Simple answer.
Yeah.
So bring in more females. How will you bring in more females? By attracting more females through your flexible benefits, your women-friendly benefits, and things which will entice females to work for you, such as your culture. Your culture provides you safety and security at workplace. Your females are encouraged. You have a lot of females already working. What is the other biggest issue? The transportation issue. I keep saying in all my D&I talks, the biggest thing that we need to resolve is the transportation issue. Yeah. So I meet a lot of females. Now I don't interview as such, but when I was a full-time recruiter, I used to interview a lot of females, and they were never worried about the salary they're getting. They're never worried about the position title they're getting. What they're worried about is, do we have a pick and drop service available? And if I say yes, they will never even ask a second question on the salary. And if the parents know that there's a pick and drop service available, they will allow their daughter to go and work, or they will allow their wives to go and work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in a society we will live in, government's transportation system is not very strong. Yeah. There is a private transportation system. A, this is very costly. B, it is not safe. How many times we hear incidents about the ride-hailing services?
Yes.
Yeah, and all these things happening. So we need to provide transportation solutions as an organization to females.
Okay.
When you go and say that we're providing your door-to-door transportation solution, I bet they will come over and work because they want to work. They are more than 50% of your population.
Yeah.
Is this sustainable? that 50% of your population is working and the rest 50% is not working and being sponsored by the rest 50%. This is not sustainable.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's not that they don't want to work. The females don't want to work. They want to work.
They want to work.
They're
Yeah.
doctors, they're pilots, they're engineers, they are designers, they're artists, they're everything.
Yeah.
They're playing sports as well. So which means they want to work. You provide them a transportation. Don't go into fancy solution. Don't say we don't have budget to manage all this. You just provide your transportation.
The basic necessities.
Yeah, basic,
Exactly.
which is transportation. Don't even provide flexible benefits in the first place. They don't want for extra favors. It's not that they want to discriminate us positively over others.
Yeah.
They say just give us transportation solution. Of course, other things are value addition. You're saying, we are providing you flexible benefits, we're providing you daycare facility, we're providing you flexible timings, we have this benefit, we have that benefit, but you need to come from your home to office on your own. Nothing will work. It's like you're skipping levels and you're not realizing what is the first step. Go step by step, providing us transportation solution. And then whenever your P&L allows, you provide extra benefits. Daycare facility, flexible benefits, maternity leave, extended maternity leave. If you don't have daycare at workplace, you give cash to the mother so that they can arrange. But don't do that right now. When your P&L will allow, only then. Keep it sustainable. Don't do all things.
Overdo it.
Overdo it because it's a trend that we need to talk about diversity, and then 2 years down the line you're cutting down all things because your P&L doesn't have muscles or space to do that. So just stick to the basic. Input more females in your organization. Input more. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. And then some of them will drop out. Some of them will leave just because they don't like the place. Some of them will stick around and they will grow in the organization. So if you really want to add or increase diversity inclusion, these certain areas we talk about, the two things very important from leadership perspective. If you find these in the organization, I would say they're very serious about their diversity efforts.
Okay.
Yeah? Which are, does this company have a year-on-year diversity increase targets? So today we are here. Next year we'll increase our gender diversity by, let's say, X percentage.
Okay.
Year after that we'll increase by X plus 5%, so on. If you find those numbers written in this organization, not verbalized, this organization is serious about it. One. Number two, are leadership of this organization being penalized if they do not meet those targets?
Okay.
Penalized financially. Is my bonus impacted if I don't meet the diversity target? If the answer is yes, I'm very serious about diversity efforts. So that's how you can do a little bit of a self-audit of your organization if you're serious about it.
Yeah, and that will achieve the results as well.
Naturally.
Exactly. Yes. So yeah, that's it. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Noman. I mean, if the companies implement your ideas, your suggestions, and all that you've said, so we would be in a much better place than we are right now, and the companies would be much gender neutral. So that was it, and thank you.
Thank you for inviting, and feel free to have a chat on this topic anytime in future.
Yeah, inshallah.